Welcome back, traders and investors. Our final guest of the day, Evan Kirstel. Now, Evan is Director of Strategic Alliances at Sonus Networks. How you doing today, Evan?
I'm doing great. Just trying to get back in the mindset after a great July 4th weekend here in Boston.
No, okay. All right. Well, let's just get right into it. You're going to talk about mobile enterprise and the bring your own device that's coming upon users here or people with computers, and also the cloud. So let's talk about the cloud because some of these stocks are pretty interesting here. Have had some pretty good sell offs. So let's start with them. Are there any stocks in the cloud that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, let me just set the scene a little bit. I mean, we're all recovering from July 4th,
Okay.
and I'm a bit of a history buff, so I love, particularly here in Boston, reading about the Revolution and the Tea Party and the great events of the era. And you think about the cloud, it's pretty much the same scale of revolution in the enterprise communications and IT world. I mean, what people, your average consumer may not be aware is that the same revolution that's hitting consumers in terms of mobility and web services, and et cetera, is happening sort of under the covers in the enterprise. And businesses, both large and small, are radically changing the way they organize themselves, the way they do business, the way they manage internally and externally. And things like mobility and the cloud are great drivers of that change. It's happening a little bit under the cover, sort of under the hood. So, it's not something that gets a lot of visibility outside of the sort of the tech press or IT press. But there's some great opportunities for companies, large and small, actually, to take advantage of this change and all the disruption happening in the enterprise. So everyone knows that obviously companies like Amazon and their web services group, kind of the gold standard of the cloud. But there are a lot of both small, medium, and large companies tackling enterprise change and addressing the ways in which enterprises are changing their buying habits and buying style in a way.
Okay.
Um, the traditional way that enterprises both purchase and deploy IT is radically changing. And so there's a whole ecosystem that's some new, some old, that's taking advantage of that change. And people may not realize it, but the enterprise, the business enterprise world is a multi-trillion-dollar market. People think of the consumer market as the big market. Well, the enterprise is not far behind. And so you got companies like IBM, for example, and HP, who are the old world suppliers who are trying to reinvent themselves as cloud providers. And we'll see they're having some success. We'll see how successful they are. But then you got a whole bunch of upstarts as well who are taking advantage of that change. People like CSC, who are a traditional IT outsourced vendor, but they're sort of latching on to the cloud and having quite a lot of success there. Companies like Satis, who are part of CenturyLink, the telco CenturyLink, but they're having a lot of growth and success in tackling this new style of IT that's cloud driven. Even Verizon, you think of Verizon as like an old style public telephone company, but their Terramark group, which is owned by Verizon, is having a lot of success in this world of enterprise cloud and in addressing enterprise requirements. Companies like VMware, who are known for virtualization, but are they're part of EMC, and they're tackling the infrastructure as a service, so changing the way you provision, deploy, access server technology. You
So,
have lots of companies out there. It's a pretty exciting and dynamic world now.
well, so we've been talking about like the old tech coming to life here, and you think that primarily due to these tech companies making a transition to the new technological environment, like a company like Hewlett Packard. They've had a
Yeah,
really nice.
Hewlett Packard's been under a lot of pressure, and everyone's focused on their PC business and printing business and their struggles there. But there's a whole side of HP and Microsoft and IBM. These companies you think of as kind of old world who are taking advantage of this shift as well. And yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. You think about the CIO or the chief information officer of a global blue chip company. There are only about 8 or 10 companies in the world that sit at that CIO's desk, and sell products and services to them. And those companies are leading the change. What's really neat, though, is there are a ton of small and medium-sized companies that partner with those big companies. They have best-of-breed applications and services. And so, although they dominate the landscape, these big tech giants, the IBMs and HPs, there's tons of opportunities for startups, for angel investors, for private equity guys to create and build these smaller companies that either get acquired by the big guys or even partner with the big guys, because the enterprise IT landscape is so fragmented that one company just can't do it all anymore. It's not like the old days where you just went to Cisco or you went to IBM and you got everything you needed. The requirements are simply too diverse.
Well, what are some of these intermediary sized companies that are interacting with the big boys? Are some of these publicly traded, or are they just small private
Some of
enterprises?
them, some of them are. I mean, there's like GoGrid is a smaller cloud-based
Do you have the symbol for that?
provider. GoGrid, I don't have it handy,
Okay.
but GRID. I mentioned CSC. BlueLock is a public leader in Gartner's infrastructure as a service. So it's like a lot of these companies like 5-year-old. It's an Indianapolis-based cloud provider. It's getting national recognition. In my arena, which is communications, interactive intelligence, or INIM, I know they're publicly traded. They're moving all of their unified communications offers and contact center offers to the cloud. So, there's tons of opportunity in the mid-market as well, because, you know, the modern enterprise is fast moving and they want to work with vendors who are fast moving, and a lot of these guys are. So tons of change.
Okay, let's talk about some of these cloud stocks. I mean, like FireEye. I mean, the stock is really coming off some highs, is trying to mount a comeback. Is this a stock that you follow at all?
No, but I understand the space a little bit. And what's happening is in the cloud security arena, there's a bunch of companies that are getting a lot of visibility and a lot of traction because, when you move your applications to the cloud and your network to the cloud, the whole paradigm for security changes, and you need a whole new stack of vendors and solutions to address that change. So, guys like FireEye and others are seeing tremendous opportunity, again, taking advantage of the shift, right? So anytime there's this disruption, there's going to be winners and losers. And there's just tons of IP security companies that are cloud oriented, versus the old traditional desktop security model.
Oh,
That's just a great example of someone taking advantage of change and disruption and a new way of delivering service.
okay, and is there? I mean, we talked about the old school tech companies and how some of them are making the transition, into the mobile enterprise market. Is there, any other stocks that you think investors should keep an eye on as far as to capitalize on this trend?
I still like companies who have one foot in the old and one foot in the new.
Okay, that makes sense.
The companies like Salesforce, I mean, they're the leader in enterprise cloud solutions, but they're not a startup. They have a tremendous wealth of customers today and a long history, dealing with customers going back 5, 10 years. And if they're dominant and yet they're growing fast. And Salesforce is a great example. I mean, I used to work for Oracle. I have mixed feelings about Oracle, but you have to say they're a voracious acquirer of companies, and
Hmm.
we'll see if they can reinvent themselves. One foot in the old world, one foot in the new. the challenge for Oracle is to grow, the new business faster than the old world business declines. So, it's worth keeping an eye on them as well.
Okay. All right. We've had Evan Kirstel on, Director of Strategic Alliances at Sonus, and he's been talking about the mobile enterprise and how to capitalize on that budding industry. Evan, thanks for coming on, and we hope to speak to you again.
Thanks very much. Look forward to catching you on the show again.
Okay. Thank you, Evan.